Hi, and welcome to the Indie Music Podcast, the podcast for independent musicians and other audio professionals. We're your hosts. I'm Matt Denton, also known as Mojo of Ragged Birds Music. I'm a Bay Area mix engineer and recording artist. And Douglas Reynolds of Resonance Mastering, a mastering engineer in Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome to Indie Music Podcast, episode 217. Today, Matt and Doug have Marklyn Retzer on the show. Marklyn is an independent recording artist out of San Diego area. He just released new music at the beginning of the month, and we get to talk to him about these and upcoming releases. Marklyn discusses his writing process and inspirations for his music. We play a couple of his songs, Tutu, a song inspired from Joy, and I.A.I.O, We Are San Diego, which is a song supporting the San Diego Loyal soccer team. On the way out of the episode, we get to hear an excerpt of his yet-to-be-released Everything's Going to Be Okay. Enjoy the show. Hey, welcome.
Cool.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Matt, howdy. Doug, nice speaking with you.
Likewise.
You guys haven't really talked to each other before, right?
No, we've not.
Have you interacted on Twitter at all?
Yeah. We have on the Sunday morning chat.
Oh, yeah. The audio mix chat. See, I'm one of those guys that I feel like I just kind of assume that everybody I knows already knows each other, and I always forget that's only in my head, not in the real world.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you don't all know each other?
It's like, but in my head you do. How is that? How is that not real? Anyway, welcome to the show. Hi, Marklyn. Good to see you. Good to talk with you again.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And it is nice to finally get a chance to talk to you and get a voice to the chat, from Sundays. So,
yeah.
And I always appreciate your interaction in the show on Sunday mornings. So thanks for being there.
Yeah, thanks for hosting it. It's all like I get so much out of it. It's like, okay, what can I try to give back a little bit as possible? But like I always walk away with so much more than I'm sure I'm giving.
Well, I get a little bit of information about what you're up to in those chats based on some of the stuff you're getting into, and I believe you're out of California, like San Diego area or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, the North County of San Diego. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just call it San Diego, California. That's
easier.
Good location.
Right. Yeah, you're in San Diego the way I'm in San Francisco, just north but adjacent.
I like San Diego a lot.
Yeah, it's nice weather down there.
Yep.
It's hard to not like.
Right.
It doesn't get old. It never I don't get tired of it.
So why don't you, for our listeners, tell us a little bit about yourself, beyond where you're at, and a little bit about your music, and just kind of let people know what's up with Marklyn.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm a Marklyn Retzer. I'm a singer-songwriter, performing musician. I've been in a whole bunch of different bands across the last, I guess it's pushing 30 years now. Starting with original music. The first band I was really in was an original music, almost no covers at all. And so learning how to be in a band and learning how to write for that and learning how to sing together with people. We had essentially 4 lead singers. So the band had really one lead singer, but everybody could sing lead and did at various points. So the harmonies were great. Learning how to stack that up and sing with other people. And then moving on, when that band kind of fizzled, we sort of ran our course, got a little radio airplay, got some Southern California buzz a little bit, and then sort of got to the point where we're having kids and we're moving on with other things, and it's not keeping us. It didn't get to the point of being worth the time to keep going. And I couldn't get away from music. So just continuing to, played in a Polynesian dance band for a while, just the guitarist behind the girls doing hula.
Nice.
That was super fun.
I'll bet.
Traveled to Tahiti and performed there with that group.
Wow, fantastic.
Super fun. The Tahitian people were so good to us and so open and sharing, and then just soaking it all up, the music and culture. A number of cover bands, but really my focus always comes back to original music writing. writing my music, what connects with me, what things do I like to listen to, and how can I put that back into the world? Where do I find joy? And so writing and producing and continuing to put out my own stuff, it's been for me a process of learning to record and realizing that, hey, computers have caught up with recording. I don't just have to book a studio. I can start doing this on my own, and learning over the last decade or so how to do it and how to get better at it and how to get a product that sounds closer to what I want it to sound like, while still getting input and working with other people. And, getting to record in a studio is always a fun thing for me. But so mostly though, my music, I try to write from my heart, connected music that keeps me going. I've said before, I try to write myself out of depression, where find the things I'm struggling with and write what I need to hear, or write what I want to hear, write what I hope to hear. And as a result, I've had people tell me that the music's positive, the music's uplifting, and sonically, I'm sort of in the acoustic guitar pop. I've said it's sort of like a cross between Ben Harper. Imagine Ben Harper and the Beatles jamming on the beach with acoustic guitars.
That's pretty accurate.
There you go, Matt. Did I call it?
You did. You said you had a George Harrison vibe.
Oh, I will take a George Harrison vibe all day long. Yeah. I love that. The chords they use and the harmonies, the sonic palette there for me is feels familiar and feels a place where I like to hang out.
Well, that all sounds very healthy. I mean, I've always thought of you as like an upbeat, positive, guy in general, but also for, in terms of your music. But I didn't know that you were doing it so intentionally, and writing it to help yourself as well as others. That's very, very cool, and it seems very healthy.
Yeah, and I in my listening, and I just had the opportunity to check out your tracks like yesterday and today, and which we'll be playing some of in a little bit here, by the way, listeners, that I found it to be upbeat and positive. I really agree that is where you were coming from in the songs that I listened to. I don't know, what the backstory is on them, and maybe we could talk about that when we get to it here about the individual songs, but I definitely felt good listening to your music.
Thanks. I'm glad that communicates, because sometimes the things that we think we're trying to get across, we're not always sure.
That's true.
As an artist for me. So it's great to hear that, hey, that worked.
Well, it's such a weird thing about being an artist in any medium is that once you take your art and you put your thoughts and your feelings into the art, and then you put the art out in the world, it really no longer belongs to you. It then belongs to the listener or the viewer or the reader. It's becomes symbiosis with them. And so it's no longer just you, it's them as well, and whatever they bring to it. So yeah, it's kind of unpredictable sometimes what people bring to it and how they interpret it, and how that resonates with different people.
So I was getting to know about you a little bit on some notes that I was catching up on, and it looks like a lot of your songwriting inspiration comes from reading and literature.
That's a big one for me. I've been a fan of reading since, growing up with it, but, hitting literature, once I got to Kurt Vonnegut, it was like kind of blew my mind a little bit, like, wow, you can do that with a book? That's really cool. And then just continuing, diving deeper into there, getting to the, like Gabriel Garcia Marquez and that almost surrealistic type of writing, and just the lush prose. I love good wordplay. So always find a lot of inspiration when I read books, and try to connect and express that. Down in San Diego, I've had the good fortune to make a lot of friends in the music community, and ran into a book club for songwriters. Really? Which is such a cool thing. The whole point is not to read the book and discuss it. It's read a book and write a song.
Oh, cool.
So we'll get together every couple months Yeah, it's such a cool thing. Here's the book. Everybody read it. Sometimes people get together and go, I didn't read it, but I looked at the cover and this picture made me think of this thing. I read 2 chapters and I hated it. And it made me so mad that here's the song I wrote about
That's cool.
that stuff happens. Like it's great. And then for me, I get to combine things I like, reading and songwriting and hanging out with cool musicians.
Right.
Where then we get together. When we get together lately, it's been via Zoom, still doing it. But, it's great to sit in a room with a bunch of people you might know or might have just met and play songs that you wrote and talk about how you got there and talk about from the book. I think when I started trying to do that, I was like almost trying to write too literally to the book.
Yeah.
And I was able to step back a little bit and listen to songs that people wrote that really I dug, that I was like, oh man, how'd you do that? And like, that almost doesn't have anything to do with the book. And then realizing, oh, it's just, how does it hit me and what am I feeling right now? And how can I bring that into it?
Right. Yeah. That's cool.
Do you get an opportunity in that then to listen to other people's compositions that were inspired from the same book that you wrote for?
Yeah. That's the whole thing. Like everybody's got the same book. Like, well, whatever, every month or every 2 months, whenever the book club is on, here's the book. Everybody's writing a song to the same book.
Yeah.
So
I got to imagine that there's similarities, but I would think that there's a greater degree of dissimilarity in what different people bring to that post-reading composition meeting that you guys have, or however you do it on Zoom. It's got to be really interesting.
Yeah, I'd say there's probably the times when they line up, when like you have 2 songs that are like either even similar thematically, it tends to be really rare. It's like, oh, hey, wow, we wrote songs that were kind of close. Hardly ever happens. Yeah. So lots of diversity. And it's just the songwriters bringing their backgrounds and their skills and their feelings and how they write and who they are.
I love that.
It's really
I love that
fun
whole
to
concept. It's so cool.
I do too. That's cool.
Do any of those ever make it into your albums, or do they end up just being exercises?
Lots of times they end up being keepers.
Yeah.
Not always. Plenty of times it's like, wow, that one stinks. But I've taken some, where I take the chorus from one and turn it into something else, ended up rewriting it. My latest release, actually, Tutu, is a song from book club. From the book Pronoia, and I'm going to forget the author's name here, which is, he's got like a podcast and a writing series where it's basically the vibe of it is that the universe is, pronoia is the opposite of paranoia, and the universe is conspiring to do good things for you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a funny, and that book, it's this really big, thick thing, but you can randomly turn pages and just open and start reading. So it's perfect for a book club like this, because you're like, oh, it's almost like essays or short pieces of writing. And there was something in there that struck me about joy, which, I mean, is this a good time to talk about how Tutu came about?
Absolutely. Go for
Sure.
it.
I wanted to, let me interject real quick, because I just Googled it. Is this Rob Bresney's book?
That's it.
Okay.
Rob Bresney.
I wanted to say that in case listeners were interested in looking for it.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, thank you. I knew there was a Z in there somewhere. Yeah, Rob Bresney, Pronoia. And I had a great time reading it. Super fun. Things about joy, about finding joy and expressing joy and not letting things get in the way of that. And so I started writing some notes on that from the book. And I had been looking through a journal that I had, and I remembered a day where I was down at the beach. I live close to the beach. I'm a surfer, so hanging out at the beach is always good for me. I'm watching this little girl in a tutu tearing around the beach, just running around like crazy. And she's got sand everywhere and it's a mess. And I start thinking like, wow, why are you wearing a tutu on the beach? And then just looking and seeing the joy with which she was playing and the abandon, like not caring anything about what else is going on and just being fully soaked in on the moment. And I said, I want some of that. And so then connecting it with this book of like, all right, I get inspired here, and then turning it in and taking stories and taking feelings, starting there, and then thinking about, what else do I do that's like that? Or what do I want for me? And it's like, well, I want to have the freedom to be able to show up how I want to be in the world and be comfortable with myself, and not only comfortable, but really feeling good about it.
Right.
And there was the second verse of the song is about a kid in a fuzzy dolphin suit running around a grocery store, which my kids growing up had a whole bunch of fuzzy animal costumes that we'd like pick them up at Halloween. Like, I think they were like $20 at Costco or something. And they started wanting to wear them all the time.
As you do.
And so you're in the middle of July and in a full dolphin suit, like cruising the grocery store. I remember like every once in a while we'd get these weird looks from people, and like some lady vibing me because my kid's in a dolphin suit. And I was like, lady, come on. Do you see how happy he is? Well, why would you want to limit that? So just, not giving in to the fear and the pessimism. That's and this last year for sure, there's been plenty of times where I've struggled with that. And this, I think, would be an example, like I was talking about, of trying to write myself out of the depression in that. Wrote the song a couple of years ago, so it was before all of this, but that seeing how, okay, here's something I want to feel. Can I get myself to feel this way in a song? And I got close. I wrote it. I'm like, okay, I'm happy with it. Started playing it out at gigs, and people responded really well to it. Everybody's like, yeah, I love to play that Tutu one. I'm like, okay, nice. People are asking for something. I'm got to deliver.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you do kind of road test songs at gigs before you kind of record them, maybe sometimes.
A lot I do. The batch of songs I'm recording right now, definitely. A lot of my gigs are acoustic in breweries, wineries, like little tap rooms, tasting rooms, sometimes restaurants. But I would say breweries and wineries are a lot of my gigs. And so it's sort of background noise. So if something cuts through and people connect with it, it's like, all right, okay, I made it through the conversation and the TV on the wall. They paid attention. That one, okay, that one works. Keeper. And so, yeah, this one definitely showed up like that.
Well, hey, let's play it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Awesome.
A twirling, swirling blur of fluffy pinkness. She likes to wear her tutu on the beach. Smile spreading, laughter grows everywhere she goes. Though by nightfall she'll be full of sand beneath. I'll walk around in glittered shoes, shine my light everywhere I choose. Happy, wild, and free is such a liberating view. I want to wear my tutu too. The fuzzy fin appears behind the lettuce as he roams the aisles in his dolphin suit. Is it Halloween 3 months away? A frowning lady chides. Why ask for reasons when there's joy so absolute? I'll walk around in glittered shoes, shine my light everywhere I choose. Happy, wild, and free is such a liberating view. I want to wear my tutu too. I won't give in to fear and pessimism. I'll celebrate the joy of being alive. I'll walk around in
Such a fun tune.
It is.
Thank you.
And it all makes sense now.
It's just, you get a smile on your face and it doesn't stop all the way through the song, you know?
Thank you. It's working.
So I wanted to ask, so I know you do a lot of acoustic sets, you do a lot of like solo songwriting, but when you go to record, are you mostly recording everything yourself? I was thinking of that earlier, and then now I hear that clearly those background singers were not you. What's your
actually
process there?
Those background singers are me.
What? Really? Okay.
Yeah. That's that whole song. A lot of times I'll bring in friends or is somebody to play something on a recording, but that one's 100% me. Drum programming, bass, guitars, electrics, acoustics, keyboards, and the backup vocals.
Wow. Nice job.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what does your typical music production process look like? And maybe a little bit about your studio and what you're using.
Sure. I'm recording currently with Logic. I migrated over in the last year and a half or so from Digital Performer, where I'd been working, and kept being easier to collaborate with people with Logic, or, just the upgrade process. I'm working on a Mac Mini where I maxed out the RAM, and I like that. It's I had been working on my computer. My previous computer had been a PowerBook, and just seeing where the PowerBooks are going, I wanted to have a desktop. I gave up a little bit in portability, but the Mac Mini can kind of almost go anywhere and have the HDMI to any monitor or a TV anywhere you are. Work off that. I use a metric halo interface, and that's got the like Ethernet plugin. So I'm not going on USB or FireWire anymore. It's the latest metric halo upgrade got me in on Ethernet, which is fast and clean and cheap. And that's worked great. I've been really happy with that. That's mostly a 2-channel. Well, not mostly, it's a two channel preamp on that, with some a couple nice, very clean pre's. So a lot of times I'm just going one at a time, one mic at a time, sometimes two, depending on if I'm going stereo guitar, or I want 2 different mics on an amp. If I'm recording electric, that one, I think my electrics on Tutu, I think I did all the electrics in the box. I've recorded enough from my amps to know like what I'm listening for. And I'm basically trying, if I can recreate it and get the clean sound in the box with what I want for a clean electric, I start with that. And if it's not working, then I'll bring the amps out and crank it up. So that's, I think, the basics of my studio: a Mac Mini, metric halo interface, and a couple of mics. The one I use the most is an I.A.I.O R84 ribbon mic. I like how it sounds on my voice, and sweet on the acoustic guitar as well. Those for me were how's it sound on my voice and how's it sound on acoustic?
Right,
and
right.
That worked for me.
Cool. What's your other mic?
The other ones, I don't even remember right now. Some condenser mics that I got for, then a couple $100. It's nothing, nothing earth shaking. That's why, I've got a sometimes I'll go the R84 and an SM57 on the acoustic and do like a mid-side thing just to mix it up. But that, as far as real recording mics, the I.A.I.O R84 is the one that gets the most use.
Cool.
And that's the bulk of my studio. I don't have, currently not working in a room with monitors, with live monitors. So do a lot of headphones, but then get out and listen to it everywhere.
Right.
Cars, computers, phones, a variety of headphones, send it to people, go, what do you notice?
Yeah.
Matt's been good enough to give me some feedback on stuff before. It's like, hey, listen. And, I end up calling back, returning favors of people who've asked me to listen to their stuff. Hey, since you listened to that, what do you have for me on this? that's the studio. The process, a lot of times since I start on acoustic guitar, I may throw down a scratch guitar and vocal and then start plotting it out from there. So give myself markers, mark the song all out, and then figure out what I want to start thinking through of what sonically, where I'm going. I mean, my brain always goes to kind of a clean electric guitar, and, Fender amp with some Fender amp reverb and tremolo is kind of a sweet spot for me. And then add a Hammond organ on anything and I'm going to like
Right.
it. So those sonically show up for me, but like that one had some arpeggiated marimba keyboard thing that just seemed to fit for more sparkle. And that song needed, like, what this song needs is more sparkle.
Right? Yeah, it's
So
perfect.
I kept added a Nashville tuned acoustic on that for that fake 12-string thing. Nashville tuning is really fun. I don't know if you've ever played around with it.
Yeah, you know what? My acoustic guitar is Nashville tuned. I haven't really played around with it much, other than to do that, just to have that in my back pocket.
Yeah, the high strings on there, and it adds such a nice little vibe. So I had to do it on one of the extra acoustics that was kicking around the house. I strung that up Nashville tuning, and I was like, that is the thing. And I think it's just on the choruses of Tutu for there, but really popped that out. And so the process then, writing it, getting the markers on the song, I've started using the Logic drummer.
It's so cool.
It's become really good. I've turned into a fan of that. And then, so getting the feel right, getting the vibe, starting to, every once in a while, there's like, this crashes in the wrong place and I can't move it. I got to export MIDI, and that's its own beast, but getting there. But learning the Logic drummer has helped me out a lot as far as like get the feel, get the vibe. And then learning the producer packs. I don't know if Matt, if you told me about that. I learned about that from somebody.
Yeah, they're not something that I've played with. They're so new that I've somebody sent me a project with that in it. So I've seen it, but I've not played with it myself.
And then, so what that basically does, instead of just having all your drums on 2-track, I mean, Logic's pretty good that you can adjust the bass on the Logic drummer. You can adjust bass, kick, snare, and toms, and have some individual controls on that. But the producer drums gives you individual tracks, an individual track on every single drum mic channel. So you've got like kick in, kick out, you've got your overheads, you've got your snare. So a little more flexibility as far as that goes, and, choose some different, okay, I like this kit, but I just need a different kick on it, or I want the snare to be something different. Mix that out as well.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Insane, but it's really cool.
Yeah.
If you have the whole drum track in a drummer, and you want to like change a single thing, you can just drag that section into a new instrument track, and it'll show you all the MIDI parts. Yeah,
and I've done that, and then it becomes a mixing issue of how do I mix the MIDI drums in with the real drums.
Right.
If it's just on top of it and I sneak it in, that works out okay. But if I have to do the whole section, then it's a bunch of work.
Right. And it's supposed to save you time, not cause an extra headache. But it sounds good. It sounds natural. And your production is really clean. And it's been interesting also to watch your production improve over the last few years.
Thank you. I appreciate the feedback you've given me on stuff. I'm working with a producer, mastering engineer, Martin Arechi. He was actually a student of mine when I taught high school. One of my very first year of teaching, he was a student of mine. After I taught him, he ended up going to LA and learning his chops on tape, and was right around the beginning of Pro Tools coming in. So he learned Pro Tools and that. And so now he helps me out, and I bounce stuff off him, and he did the mastering on that one.
Nice.
And so he'll be like, okay, do this in the mix and then send it back to me. And I'm like, okay, good.
Right on.
So we're not just going to fix it in mastering. Go back and remix here, but it also helps me learn to hear better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that process is important.
Yes, very. Doug, shall we hear another song?
Yeah, we have I.A.I.O, We Are San Diego lined up here. So this deserves a little bit of an intro, though.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm a huge soccer fan and grew up played adult league until just the last couple of years, retiring for my long-term health, but mostly retired because my wife was not working on game days. And so I was wanting time with her. We got a local team in San Diego last year, the San Diego Loyal. It was our very first year. We got one game in and then quarantine shut us down. The team has been amazing, though. The vibes of the team, they put out 4 core pillars of who they are. And independent, that's the I.A.I.O. I'll represent these. Independent, now I'm going to forget them. Authentic, optimistic, independent, inclusive. Independent, authentic, inclusive, and optimistic. Yeah, and for a professional sports team to say this is who we are, and they've definitely lived that. I mean, this is the team that got some buzz on ESPN last year for walking off the pitch when a player, one of their players was abused with homophobic slurs, and they gave the referee and the other team a chance to deal with it. They're like, "You're not going to deal with this." It walked off. They were winning the game. Wow. And left. They said, we cannot support this, which was immediately following a game where one of the players had been subjected to racial slurs. And they're like, we wish we would have done something. You know, it was really late in that game. It was in the last few minutes. And they're like, we wish we would have done something in that. And they said, we're not going to go through this again. And so the very next game when that happened, they're like, you're kidding me. And they came out after halftime, walked off. And so seeing a team that puts their words into practice, awesome. The fan base has been great. And I was thinking, how can we develop a chant? What can we get from the fans? Because I'm all about stand up the whole game and scream. It's great. We built this chant around it. I started writing it. And it's so I.A.I.O, we are San Diego. And just that little bit, I.A.I.O, we are San Diego. And we do it in Spanish because we're a bilingual place here. Somos San Diego. I've spoken Spanish for a number of years, so pretty comfortable with it. And it's important. That's an important part of the fan base and the community, and the team reaches out. And we're looking for hearing the supporters group saying, we want chants more than just in English. I brought that chant to the fans before the first game. It took off. So there's lots of videos of the very first game where stuff going on, where that chant's going on in the background. And I'm like, this is so good. I'd been writing the song to it at that time. I didn't have it together to quite finish it. Got it finished, blew it up, took it apart, made it shorter, made it faster, made it more drums and more intense, and re-recorded it. And that's where we are. And that's probably more than enough intro.
Well, let's get into it. So that's really cool. And the Tutu has already been released, and I.A.I.O has already been released, correct?
Yeah. Those are both out on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you find digital music. They're all over. Yes.
Yeah. About that, where are you? I know you're on Twitter.
Oh, thank you. Twitter, Marklyn Music. Instagram, Marklyn Music. On the web, Marklyn Music, Marklyn. Pretty much everywhere. I don't know that I have YouTube yet on Marklyn Music, but search for Marklyn Retzer on YouTube and I'm there. I want to mention with I.A.I.O, that one, I recorded all of it. Got Brian Schäuble, a San Diego mixer, mixing on that. I interacted with him at one of our San Diego meetups and gotten to know him a little bit. And he said, hey, if you ever want to work with me, talk to me. So we worked together. I hired him for that, and super fun. Loved that process of being able to hand it off to somebody and get back the mix and go, wow, this sounds so much better than what I was doing on my own.
Nice. Well, that's very cool.
We'll make sure and put all of those links into the show notes.
Yes. Yeah, we will definitely want people to be able to find you on the web and listen to your music.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
So yeah, Marklyn, thank you very much. Listeners, I hope you enjoyed listening to Marklyn and us try to stay out of the way. And
yeah.
And Doug, Matt, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Definitely enjoyed the music.
And
I am going to take us out on a song that's called Everything's Going to Be Okay. I'm only going to play just a little bit of it. It hasn't been released yet, but we wanted to let our listeners get a little bit of taste of what's to come. You said that you are releasing music, gosh, about every 6 weeks or so. So there's always something new coming out.
Yeah, this one's a co-write with Alfred Howard, who's a San Diego songwriter that's super prolific. I did the music for it. That Everything's Going to Be Okay should be released towards the end of May. So watch for that. And then something coming in June. I'm already working on the next track.
Right on.
Cool.
Thanks. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Have
listeners.
a great week.
Yep. Cheers.
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 Golden and rose is the way I suppose it's supposed to be. A sky with no clouds and the warblers sing louder than memory.
Well, that wraps up another episode of the Indie Music Podcast. Please like and subscribe, share with your friends, or just leave us a review on iTunes if you like what you've heard. Find our social links and episode guide at indiemusiccast.com. Until next time, keep creating.